about to hear from Daniel Tuffin, Executive Technical Director for Cavalier Resources, and to hear about the gold and lithium projects. Over to you, Daniel. Thanks so much.
Okay, for those of you still here, well done. It's been a long day. We're on the home stretch, everyone. Let me firstly apologise to you all. We are moving very quickly at this stage on our gold PFS that we released on Thursday. It came out with 29,000 ounces of gold in our stage 1 oxidised pit. We are moving towards becoming a self-funded explorer as per our mandate when we listed 18 months ago. We released it on Thursday. We were 9.5 cents. Today I think we closed at 19. So we are running around with our backsides on fire. It's a good problem. Disclaimer, and also, I will say apologies as well. I haven't been able to tailor the presentation too well based on the fact that the PFS has just come out. So what are we? We listed in June 2022 with the, well, as it says, yet not necessarily easy to achieve, but corporate vision of becoming a self-funded exploration company. So what we wanted to do was utilise our mature near-term gold mine that we brought into the listing, the IPO, and use that to generate cash flows while we continue to explore close to that particular mine site, but also our prospective lithium in Forrestania and nickel that's 10 kilometres west of Murrin. We're getting close. So I won't bear too much time on this, but there are 3 project areas of breakdown. We have gold at Crawford, that's 20 kilometres east of Leonora. We have 117,000 ounces of near-surface gold resource. We have a new discovery north of that resource called Miranda. For those wondering, Crawford and the other projects in the area were named after 80 supermodels, so we named the new discovery Miranda. If you have any suggestions for male supermodels, I will be taking them. The PFS was completed on Thursday. We have outstanding heap leach recovery, so we don't have to rely on any mills in the area. Ella's Rock. We were actually searching out at Ella's Rock for nickel and gold. We did our geochem and it came back with a huge amount of lithium anomalies. In fact, 3 large lithium anomalies. We're right in between Mount Catlin and Mount Holland on the same trend. So we utilised what's called deep ground penetrating radar after the geochem. And it's quite an industrious way of doing things. It sees about 150 metres deep. There's 2 bits of plastic they put behind a fellow. They drag the radar along the ground. They take a reading every 6 metres, and it tells you what's under the ground. The anomalies that were reported back, 277 of them, are analogous to those found 5 years earlier by the same survey company, Ultramag, they're called. They're out of Sydney, and as Mount Catlin. So we're pretty sure that the geochem, the geophys, and the ground penetrating radar are indicating that we're onto something, and we're going to go drill that in April this year. So I won't stay on this too long. You can have a look. This has all finally gone up online this afternoon. Again, we've been running around with our backsides on fire, but we have essentially near-term gold with lithium and nickel exposure. One of the things I sort of pride myself in these companies is we do what we say we're going to do. So this is from November in the RAU conference. I know I shouldn't say that at a different conference, but this is November in Perth. We actually started off here saying completion of PFS ore reserve by Q1. We've done that, tick. We'll keep on ticking off these results as we go through. Lots of news flow coming up for the company, and we look forward to it. I'll skip through the corporate team just for now. So that's the bit I'm referring to. That happened on Thursday, Friday, the last 2 trading days. Obviously, gold is good right now, and it's even better to have proof of concept, isn't it? So you want to be able to say, not only are we going to go mining, but we finished our PFS, and here's how much it makes. We are very tightly held. Our market cap increased from about 3 million to 7.8 million in 2 days. Such is the nature of microcaps. And we're held by people involved in the company, so 2, 3, 4 are directors. So Leonora is the go at the moment. When we floated the company, we said we'd utilise that Crawford deposit to self-fund. We now have 23,000 ounces in ore reserve, oxidised material stage 1. That's 20% of the current resource. We've got 1.5 kilometres of strike we need to go drilling. And so we're utilising this as our first sort of payday, if you will. This is where we sit in the world. So for those that follow the Leonora area, it's huge for M&A at the moment. Rel, GMD up here. You've got Kin over here that's just sold into Genesis. 3 mills. We started looking at potentially utilising this resource to supply those mills, and then once we did the actual metallurgy, realised we could do it on site ourselves. 5.4 million capex, nice and cheap. We'll run through those numbers shortly. So Crawford itself, how do we get here? We sort of popped up out of nowhere, like the Hugel and Hoyle pop-up sprinkler at the moment for you guys. I had developed this project myself privately prior to taking this to float. It's the second of many private, second of the gold mines that I've done. And so when you're doing stuff by yourself or privately, you've got to make sure every box is ticked. I'm a mining engineer, we have to be meticulous. So we'd done all of this prior to taking this to float. The one thing we needed to do was this, because we need an ore reserve, a JORC compliant ore reserve. As a privateer in WA, we could have just gone to the WA State Mining Engineer and said, this makes money, and he would have gone, yep, tick, off you go. So we are very close. So now we have that PFS study complete. We've got the regulation approvals. There's 4 reports. I will not bore you with the acronyms. We should have them finished by 3 to 4 months' time. So when we say we're shovel ready and we'll be digging this year, we're shovel ready and we'll be digging this year. If we do a trial pit, we'll produce gold before Christmas. Otherwise, given that it's heap leach in nature, we'll probably be producing around, pouring first gold end of Q1 next year, realistically. So you can see we've been quite conservative in our pricing for the gold price. We've also been very conservative with regards to operating costs in that we've put extra fat on, and also been quite conservative recoveries. Our heap leach recoveries were up to 92.5%. We used a flat 80%. Under promise and over deliver with mining. Too many things can happen. We want to make sure we get this right. There's the numbers. So our all-in sustaining cost below, in fact, just outside the lowest quartile, which is really quite an achievement for a pit or a project that's not the size of the super pit. Normally bulk stuff will get you that sort of all-in sustaining costs. Just because we put up the 2,900 versus what about it should be, hopefully, if we're mining by that stage and selling as we are. We've only focused on the near-surface oxidised ore. So this is a 400-metre long pit. It goes into the area that we've turned into Swiss cheese because you've got to make sure you get these things right. That's why all those drill holes are there. That is 99.8% indicated classified. So the confidence is pretty high. We also have since discovered, since floating has discovered, and we're probably going to be off the page there. You've decided to stop working. The Miranda area to the north, that's a fresh rock deposit, and we've got about 500 metres of infill drilling to do there. So what tends to happen is when you start mining something, as an open cut, you do stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. It tends to go on. So what's the other thing that we're going to use to help us out? Well, we actually went out to Ella's Rock. We pegged ground out there based upon our research. One of our associates is a doctorate of geology in orogenic gold systems. He actually did his doctorate in Pine Creek. And he came to me and said, Dan, we've got some stuff out at Ella's Rock. Are you interested? It's nickel and gold. I said, sure, no worries. So we went out and had a look. As you can see, the green dots there are the pegmatites, and the other ones are nickel and gold mines. It's a Forestania trend. We lie right in between Earl Grey, which is Mount Holland, Wesfarmers Mount Holland, and to the south of us is Mount Catlin, owned by Allcom. We went out and actually did the work out on site. It had never been done before. That main lease right in the middle, not the big one to the northeast. No work had been done on that, and no one's looked to the northeast. So we went out and did some work. Those dots on the right-hand side, they're grab samples. We did 1,810 grab samples through some pretty rough terrain. We matched that over with a geophys. We came back with 3 very clear lithium indicators. And then we used those guys I mentioned before, Ultramag out of Sydney. And they went out and did some deep ground penetrating radar. And it came back with 277 anomalous targets for us to drill. For the lithium, what's really uplifting about that is the anomalies tend to trend southwest-northeast like they do in the area. They're in between those 2 large producing sites. The other thing is the anomalies are analogous to Ultramag went out to Mount Cattlin 5 years prior, and they got the same anomalous results at Mount Cattlin. So whilst we can't say it's spodumene or lithium yet or pegmatites because it's under 15 metres of cover, after April this year we're going to go and drill them and we'll be able to determine whether they are or not. Every indication is that they are lithium targets. Whether or not they're at 1.5% or 0.5% remains to be seen. So why would you guys want to be investing into this company? Well, I reckon two things. First of all, I need retail. When you float an IPO, you only get you've got to keep things tight. So there's 43 million odd securities or shares on issue here. Liquidity is tight, and that's why we went from 9 cents to 19 cents overnight. The other reason is that once one starts producing, historically, companies such as this have released dividends. Now, the board and Cornerstone are highly invested in this company. We want to see it survive, but we also would like to see some of our investment back. So if you've got a self-managed super fund, for example, and this is not financial advice, but you could invest in a company like Cavalier, and look to potentially get a free swing. If we release dividends from Crawford next year, you could have those shares sitting in there, make your money back, and see what happens with the lithium, with the likes of MinRes going on quite a tear around looking for junior goldies with lithium in their portfolio. So I do apologise again. I don't have any closing statements. This is from November, updated today. We are running around doing a lot of work on this right now. We don't like staying still. We do go out, we're motivated, we want to get work done. We're not a lifestyle company, we're young, and we want to make sure that we get this out of the ground and monetise it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. What a great story. So any questions from our audience today? Again, if you could wait for the mic, that's always helpful. We have just got a couple of minutes until morning tea.
Mine's really more of a comment than anything.
That's okay. We still need the mic, won't we?
It's okay. It's
Perfect.
right.
Thank you.
That Mount Holland was Kidman Resources, wasn't it?
Originally, yeah.
That was a good holding.
That was a very good holding. Yeah.
That was the comment. If you're near there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. We're
I'm not long this stock.
we're quietly excited. Oh, please join us. We're quietly excited about this. I mean, the fact that we can actually, it is a unicorn. The fact that we could self-fund, keep dilution low. I'm not going to tell you porkies. We probably need to do a raise between now and mining, 1 or 2 million maybe. I don't know. Then we'll look to debt. That's what I normally do. Again, I've done this in the past privately. That's how these things are funded. But what really excites me is the fact that we were looking for nickel and gold out in Forestania and unsurprisingly found a whole heap of lithium. So, to me, it's all about a project. If it's world class, it doesn't matter what commodity it is, it'll go into production. Copper, uranium, gold, silver. If it's got enough grade there, if it's got enough class behind it, you will produce. And that's the case with everything from what we have at Crawford through to other projects around the world. So that's where we're sitting right now. We're pretty excited, and as the song says, we've only just begun.
That's a great note to end on. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you.
Please thank Daniel.